Welcome loyal fans, my name is Matt Armstrong and I will be your host for the start of this video. We are gathered here today for the penultimate round of this Nations Cup. Almost the entire cup has been completed already. That went by pretty fast. Today we are tasked to drive on the fictional Grand Valley Highway track, and it has to be driven in reverse as well. No, we don't have to drive the cars themselves in reverse, of course, but the track has to be driven the other way around. The car for this race is the Red Bull X2019. We almost got through a Nations Cup without having to use it, but it's still here for one race this time around. Qualifying is extended to 7 minutes, which should allow for 3 or maybe even 4 flying laps. The race itself lasts for 30 laps. That will take around 45 minutes to complete. That is pretty long.
That's what she said.
All the different slick tyres are available to use, and there is one mandatory tyre change. There is no mandatory pit stop, but the fact that 2 different compounds need to be used means that at least 1 pit stop must be made. Having all 3 different compounds available for use with this many laps means there are a lot of different strategies to be considered. To narrow this down, Dordanov first gained some info on tyre life. In that first test, the softs lasted for 8 laps, the mediums for 15, and the hards for 22 before they were all completely bald.
Your brake pads are completely bald.
I've got something else that's completely bald.
Your tires. Yeah, I saw that. I think you could ride those puppies out for another 10,000 miles.
I bet you've got something I could ride for 10,000 miles.
Nope, the shop does not provide transportation while working on your vehicle.
The obvious strategies here were then 15 laps on hards and 15 on mediums for a 1 stop, or a combination of 3 stints on mediums and softs for a 2 stop. But trying to figure it all out by testing could be very time consuming, so ChatGPT was also consulted. It was supplied with the data on the tyres, including the accompanying lap times, to see if the initial conclusions were correct, or if there were maybe some missed strategies available. The prompt was as follows.
I am participating on the upcoming GT7 Nations Cup race on Grand Valley Highway Reverse this Saturday. For this race, we need to drive 30 laps and use at least 2 different compounds of tyres between soft, medium and hard. I did some test runs to see how long the tyres would last and what times I could manage on those. If there is no data on a tyre after X laps, you can assume the tyres won't last past that point. Given the data provided, could you help me figure out which tactic would be the fastest? I reckon it's going to be between 1 or 2 pit stop strategies. More stops probably won't work out. Keep in mind that stopping to switch tyres will cost around 16 to 18 seconds in the pits. Can you simulate some different strategies for me and figure out which one should be the fastest pace-wise?
ChatGPT then started working like the good little clanker that it is and came up with a lengthy response. At the end of this wall of text, it included these 2 fastest strategies. Obviously, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do 8 laps on both softs and hards in a stint that also utilize the mediums. With intelligence and reasoning like this, I'm not worried at all that I could be threatening my job anytime soon. This error was explained to ChatGPT as well.
I'm curious though, where does the conclusion come from that soft 8, hard 8, medium 14 would be faster than, for example, soft 8, medium 14? Surely you should use the softs again for 8 laps instead of the hards. Using the mediums afterwards will make sure the 2 compound rule is satisfied. And is hard 15, medium 15 actually the best? Or would a hard 16, medium 14 to hard 18, medium 12 possibly work out better due to loss of time on the mediums at the end of the stint?
The good little clanker, of course, immediately realized its mistake.
You are right to question both points. The earlier conclusion missed some valid combinations.
Eventually, after also supplying it with a lot of extra data from practice races, accounting for a lighter car after fuel usage plus info about time loss on pit stops, it worked out to a decent overview of possible strategies. These strategies were tested and deemed fairly accurate. After testing, it was concluded the 2 stopper consisting of 14 laps medium and 2 stints of 8 laps on softs, and the 1 stopper of 15 laps hard, 15 laps medium seemed to be the best options for this race. The 2 stopper seems to be better on pure pace, but that does require you can use all that pace. And that might not be as easy when stuck in traffic on this fairly narrow track with little overtaking opportunities. On the other hand, starting on hards is also not ideal in the midfield, with a lot of cars around you trying to get past and possibly causing all kinds of chaos and accidents. Just because you are driving slower than they might do if they are on the better compounds. So as it stands now, the 2-stop is probably best if starting in the top half of the field, and the 1-stop might be a safer bet when starting in the bottom half. Alright, I think I have bored you all enough by now. Let's move on and see what happens.
Be careful with...
Straight into qualifying without highlights. Happy days!
And look who ended up in the same lobby again, our friend O'Leary. Extra happy days. And a quick reset for a fresh set of tires, since we should have the time for another out lap and flying lap. Improved his best time on that lap with over 0.8, but it only bumped him from P5 to P3. Still, by far the fastest he has done in qualifying for this race, and not that far off from P2. That is a good start. Our friend O'Leary is a bit further down, he qualified 7th. Well then, let's see what this race brings. And here we can already see Dordanov made his first mistake. From the excitement of the quali lap and making sure the recordings were going, he forgot to switch out his softs for mediums before the race. Just like on the Red Bull ring where he made the same mistake, this doesn't have to be really bad. He is in the front of the grid, and if the drivers in P1 and 2 are either fast enough or cleared quickly, this could allow him to pull away from the rest of the field and not get caught up in shenanigans. Let's see if this works out for him. The driver in P2 was too quick to upshift to prevent wheel spin, and Dordanov jumped him right from the start.
Let's fucking go.
And that's both drivers cleared, and right into P1.
Let's fucking go!
As it turned out, Kratos, who started in P1, is currently on the hards and plans to do a one-stop. That is pretty obvious from the grip difference we saw. All the more important that he was cleared right away. It is now key to set a good pace and clear a big gap to everyone behind, all the while hoping that Kratos might hold up some other drivers behind him who might be on better tires. We can already see a decent gap forming to the cars behind, plus some fights going on between those cars. That is all very positive. This is all going about as good as he could have hoped for, especially after that silly mistake leaving the softs on. It seems he is safe for now, so maybe we can take a moment to look at some highlights of the first few laps from some other drivers. Let's first take a look at how our friend O'Leary fared in the first lap. Well, that is a rough start. First, barely missed by someone role-playing as a torpedo, and then rammed into an almost spin, and rammed again when recovering, down to 10th place from 7th. Hopefully he can recover some of those places later on. Let's see that incident from the perspective of the torpedo. That was a good reflex steering clear of O'Leary and not ramming another player. Better than what some other players might have done. Kudos to you, good sir. All right, pay close attention to this one because it happens fast. Yeah, that's one way to get your race ruined. Two drivers getting into a dumb accident and you paying the price for it. This is one of those why always me moments. Let's see how that moment was actually created. Yeah, that is definitely not how you leave space for side-by-side racing.
Fernando made it pretty clear. He said you have to leave it the space. All the time you have to leave it the space. Yes.
Now let's take a look at this overtake not entirely going to plan. Unsure if there might have been some contact because he aggressively parked his car on the apex, but it definitely did not work out for him. I can guarantee that is definitely not the fastest way through that corner. Before we get back to how Dordenov is doing, let's take a quick look at what is going on in P2. All inputs went dead. That usually means connection problems. Well, that is one less competitor to worry about.
Oh, that's terrible.
You seem kind of psyched.
No, I'm bummed.
I almost forgot that Dordanov is also still driving a race. Let's see if he is still having fun at the front of the field.
Do you have any idea how fast I am? I'm fast as fuck, boy!
Seems like he is having a decent bit of fun at the front. Let's not let the fact that he is the only driver currently on softs spoil that fun. He needs to be doing these fast lap times, or those softs will be for nothing. But since he is currently not really in danger or has some other driver to try and overtake, we might as well skip forward to his first pit stop and see how that works out.
Hello, Advent Skip!
We join back in at the end of lap 8. Pace has been as good as he could hope for, but the softs are really starting to hurt. Time to make a pit stop. During this race, an interesting discovery was made. Let's get some footage of a practice race side by side with that of the race in progress. Well, that is interesting to say the least. Apparently, Polyphony Digital tweaks the pit entry time for races different. Instead of the 21 seconds in the pits for the practice races, now we spend 31 seconds in the pits. That could make quite the difference when doing an extra stop. Let's ask ChatGPT what the impact of this is.
If the actual pit stops in the race turned out to be 10 seconds longer, would that change the optimal strategies?
Yes. If each pit stop is 10 seconds longer, that changes the ranking a lot, using the table we already built.
Well, isn't that wonderful? Instead of being 5 seconds faster, the two-stop is now 5 seconds slower and no longer the best option. Nothing we can do about that now. We already committed to the strategy. Besides, starting on softs is what allowed Dordanov to clear a gap and get out of traffic in the first place. Things could have gone a whole lot different otherwise. The most important thing now is to keep the pace high. Luckily, he didn't end up in the middle of traffic, but there are some cars to clear ahead, since he dropped down to 10th place after his stop. He is gaining fast on the duo in front, who are undoubtedly on much worse tires and are even fighting for position as well. Hopefully they don't turn out to be a roadblock. that is half of the problem taken care of. The Greek driver went into the pits. On to the bratwurst that is left. Let's ride along to see what he does. Moves out of the way and gives a bump draft as well. What a gent. Probably realized they are on a very different strategy, and it costs them both less time to do it this way. Good manners and excellent racecraft to boot. Love to see it. And some new cars to be overtaken are starting to get visible. Straight into the pits for the first one. Excellent. That's also too soon to be a one-stop strategy, which is positive. Only drivers on the one-stop should pose a threat with the lead he has built in the first stint. The next two drivers are clearly visible now. Let's see if they are also as keen to get out of the way as everybody else has done so far. And another driver keen to move out of the way going into the pits. Still seems too early for a possible one stop though, but one position cleared nonetheless. And once again, someone who seems to realize the different strategies in displaying racecraft, although currently holding the fastest lap, might also point people in the direction that a fast driver is closing in. It's still very awesome to see. Sadly, still too rare as well. And the next driver overtaken by them making a pit stop. This is also going to be the case for the next two, including our friend O'Leary, who seems to be on the one stop and has temporarily moved up into second place. Let's just single out those two events quickly. and that is back into first place for now. But even without the extra information we have currently, he realizes that drivers that pitted on laps 14 to 16 are likely to be on the one stop, and those are posing a risk, since he has to clear an extra pit stop on pace versus them. Since nothing important will happen until he makes a pit stop, we might as well skip forward to that stop now.
There's a drag.
Skip.
At the end of lap 22, it's going to be time to make that second pit stop. While we are waiting for those whole 31 seconds, we have some time to spare to look at the times of the past 10 laps. Those have been pretty good pace and rather consistent. No silly mistakes were made. So now it's only waiting to see where he will end up versus any drivers that might have chosen the one-stop strategy. Looks like it is in third place for now. Dordonoff isn't sure of it, but we know more, and the driver currently in first is also on a two-stop strategy and will stop after this lap. Let's do another skip so we can actually see what we are dealing with.
Skip.
One lap later, and we are about to see the Baguette, who already fell back to second place, make his second stop. That is P2. Let's pause here for a second. All we care about right now is that gap to Kratos in first place. Since he is pretty far off and there are still 7 laps to go, it's best to show the closing of the gap by using the minimap. Now let's skip forward through the laps and see if we can notice the gap closing. Well, slowly but surely, the gap is closing up. We are now at the start of lap 29, so let's see this play out on track for a bit. Well, there goes any hope of catching Kratos. Luckily, the gap behind seems big enough to not lose that second position. It is kind of sad though. It seems like he was closing in enough to be right on the tail at the end of the race. But trying to get it meant pushing really hard, and he unsettled the car by going over the inner curb of the corner too much. If we look at the lap times on the right though, we can see pace was really good in this final stint. But that also took its toll on the tires, and those probably didn't help the situation either. Since there is no hope left of catching P1, and the gap to P3 seems safe enough, we might as well skip straight to the end now.
Skip.
And there we have it, a very nice second place, in quite a difficult race. Would have been nice if the finish was within a few seconds of first place like what was possible, but the end result is still the same, and in the end, that matters most. Special mention to the German in 13th place, who finished 11 laps behind, and he still got a 2-minute penalty for not switching compounds. That's all because he parked his car in the pits after 19 laps and didn't return to the race. Extra special mention to our friend O'Leary, he managed to get a 4th place here, after being in 10th place after the first lap shenanigans that we saw. Well done, mate. All in all, this was a very good race. Even though the two-stop strategy turned out to be a little worse than anticipated, it worked out really well for getting clean air. Looking at lap times, Dordanov wouldn't have had the pace Kratos displayed on the harder tires should he have tried that strategy. Kratos got held up in traffic at the start, making the two end up closer together. So a second place would have been the best possible result, whatever the strategy was anyway. Excellent result for the points total as well, a new personal best with 205 points. And back in first place in the Netherlands because neither Damien nor Kai participated in this round. And even up to spot 46 for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Moving on up in the world it seems. And look who is right below in spot 52 as well. Happy days. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Oh, look, an eagle!